if you're watching this video, then that will mean that I have COVID. Here's my test. I've managed to... There it is. I've managed to avoid COVID for years, and now finally, over this past few days, it's caught me. So I just want to spend a wee bit of time in this episode to try and garner as much sympathy from you as possible, because obviously there's a chance I don't make it. And if that's the case, then I would just like to take some time to just speak to you guys. First of all, I want to thank you all for all your support over the years. I really appreciate it. I feel terrible right now, really achy. I've got a really sore back and a really sore hip, and I'm hot. I've got a fever. While I've been sitting here with COVID, I've been trying to play some games on my Switch, but my eyes are a bit sore. I've been playing Bayonetta 3 a wee bit. I started playing Bayonetta 3 a couple of days ago, and I was absolutely loving it. But then it's kind of one of the worst games you could play when you get COVID, because it's really a lot. There's like a lot. It's a lot, you know what I mean, on your senses. It's a bit of an assault on your senses, which is not great when you're suffering from the globally feared virus, COVID-19, as was, released from that experimental lab back in the day. I feel like Bayonetta 3 is just not the right game to play at the moment, so I'm going to have to put that in the back burner. I have been playing Easy Come Easy Golf on the Switch, which is, a fantastic clap hands golf game. I've been playing that. Clap hands, of course, are the mob who make Everybody's Golf, Hot Shots Golf. So I've been enjoying playing that because it's quite soothing, And so I've been able to dip into that here and there. I just wanted to let you know where I am. I just wanted to give you an explanation as to why my content in this episode is going to be a bit light, and and Ryan's holding the fort for me while I'm on the road out. It's been a huge honour doing this show for you all the years, and I'll speak to you. I'll speak to you later. I'm just going to lie down.
Been worrying a lot this month about filming stuff because it's the Halloween. It's the Halloween, so I thought would you film for the Halloween this year? And then I remembered that Charlie Brooker and all his links in his shows was just sitting in his pizza pit, doing all his joggers in his pizza pit, as if he even uses joggers. So if it's good enough for Connie Huck's husband, then it's good enough for us, I think. I'd like to talk to you this month about Gotham Knights, because when I was in the sauna with my mate the other day, he was raving about how good Gotham Knights is, despite the fact that the entire internet says it's a lot of crap. He said it's brilliant, but most things with superheroes in he thinks are brilliant, but it makes me really want to have a look at it, but I haven't played it. I wish I could talk to you about Gotham Knights, but I've got nothing more to say about it other than I've got nothing to say about it because I've not played it. So let's have a look at scary Halloween's games instead.
Scorn came out this month, finally. Scorn, crowdfunded and all that. It's taken 7,000 years to bring out. It's just a rip-off of H.R. Geiger's work. And somehow, even though everybody expected it to be a snooze, my God. Oh my God. It's like these are highlights you're seeing. There's actually stuff happening in some of this footage. The majority of this game, you'll just spend your time basically it feels like being in a queue. It feels like queuing the game, queuing in space. The puzzles are piss. Just piss puzzles. It's so dull. It's really dull. It's so dull that really I should like it. But even for me, it's too dull. As you would expect with it being the scary month of the year, there's been a lot of scary games coming out, and Signalis is one of them. It kind of looks like a really slick PS1 game, but it's a survival horror game like your... But ever heard of Resident Evil? Resident Evil's like an obscure Japanese survival horror game that came out in the 1970s. Check it out if you've never heard it. But Signalis is taking this old school kind of game mechanics and it's bringing it into this slick package that it's got here, this sci-fi horror mini masterpiece that they've made. I'm not showing you much yet. It's on Game Pass and it's got a real sense of loneliness to it. It's really good. Very, very stylish looking, very, very tense, and very, very, I think I'll be using this word an awful lot this month, very atmospheric. Did you see this month that the entire scientific community of Earth got together to decide what was the scariest horror game? The scariest horror game is Madison, apparently, so let's have a look at it. Getting big PT vibes off of this corridor, especially with that room on the right hand side there. Madison is apparently the scariest game ever made, remember? Right, big clock. Right. I suppose that's scary if you're late for something, I suppose.
Grandpa's house, but instead he's been investigating this woman.
A woman?
I'm obviously not going to pretend to you for a second that I wasn't shit scared at certain bits of this. It's a load of jump scares and it's very, here's that word again, atmospheric. You have to use this Polaroid camera to take pictures of things when you think there's things there, and sometimes there are things there and it gives you a big fright. So it does. The story's good and the voiceover, I was thinking there's no way I'm going to get used to this boy talking as much as he's talking as I was playing it, but you do actually get the performance is good, so you do get used to it. It's impressive. I liked it and it's impressive and it gave me a fright in plenty of places, but it definitely doesn't do anything that I haven't seen before. I don't want to be all like that about it. You would expect the scariest game, because I can remember times Silent Hill 2, sometimes it felt like genuinely like, I don't know if playing this is gonna do permanent damage to me. I think this might actually be bad for my long-term health, playing Silent Hill 2. You don't get that kind of, it doesn't assault you in that way. It's definitely a good horror game, especially if you like wiggly guys running towards you, which I'm sure some people are into. Played an unusually large amount of games this month, and Saturnalia is, I would say, is in the top 3 of the games that I've played this month. A top contender for the best game that I've played this month is Saturnalia. Do you not think that this main character looks a bit like that Frankie Ward last night does the PC gaming show? I've been looking forward to this game for quite a while, and it does not disappoint, because it isn't just what I was feared it would be, just an art style. It is extremely stylish. The most difficult setting in this game is called Italian Extreme. They know what they're doing when it comes to the crafting of a unique aesthetic, but they've also made a really good game that's very, very impressively structured and told. Getting a chaser in this game is one of the most horrific things that's ever happened to me in a video game, and a wee touch of genius is that if all your characters die, this village starts to reshape itself, it reorganises itself, so when you're getting a chaser the next time you don't know where the fuck you're going because everything's changed. Here's me knackered for getting chased. I'm in the church and I'm thinking I'm alright because there's plenty of light in here. I'm just going to go up these stairs and I know there's a wee bit I can hide where there's plenty of light, but I was wrong. It found me anyway. You know how in horror games they're easily spoiled because you can be shown the big scary thing and then it's not scary anymore once you've got used to seeing it. With this thing, you can't really see it anyway, so I don't have any qualms about showing you it, because it's still gonna, you can hear it more than you can see it. But man, its use of colour, it is slick as fuck. Something special, this.
One of the problems with being a physical Nintendo Switch collector is that sometimes it's years before you get to play a game because you refuse to play it until you have it physically. And Penguin Wars is a game I've wanted for a long time, but I was really struggling to find for a decent price online. But finally, I put my hand in my pocket, found it for an alright price, ordered my Penguin Wars off eBay, got the physical copy, and finally get a chance to play a game that I thought I would maybe enjoy. I am pleased to report that I don't just enjoy it, I absolutely love it. Now, Penguin Wars was an old arcade game, I don't know if you remember it, but it's a game I remember from back in the day. It's kind of like dodgeball, you are basically flinging balls at each other, right? Like this, watch, look, so you're flinging balls, and you can hit the other player's balls, you are trying to hit the other player to stun him, and basically you're just trying to get all your balls out of the other side of the board. That's kind of what it is about. It's a ball throwing game, arcade game, and in this version of Penguin Wars you can power up your characters so that you get special abilities and stuff like that. You can play multiplayer split screen, and also I would like you to listen to the music. Now, did you hear that music? That's fucking definitely The Glamorous Life by Sheila E. So really, you're talking about a game here that couldn't be further up my street. Loads of collectibles, different boss to collect, different patterns, different characters. A brilliant arcade game, a game that you can play on the couch against other people. I think it's just brilliant. And like I said, it's been on the eShop for about 100 years, so you can go and pick it up. But, you know, I had to wait to get the physical. But don't sleep on this one. It's absolutely brilliant. Penguin Wars. In my defence, by the way, as you're watching this, I actually just downloaded this video clip for YouTube, so this isn't me playing it, I'm actually really good at it. Like, genuinely, I'm better than this, fuck's sake, man. This is the last time I ever download anything for YouTube. I don't normally do it, but because I'm no well, you know, I thought I'll just download some gameplay for YouTube. I know I look fucking bad at Penguin Wars, which I am not, right?
On the one hand, it's kind of incredible that laptop gaming has come so far, because this laptop is like, it's like half an inch thick. And you can play all sorts of wonders on the laptop. So on the one hand, being old enough to remember when PC gaming wasn't as convenient as it is now. But on the other hand, I'll also find myself going, how come when I get up to do something else, the laptop doesn't follow me around? How come the technology doesn't yet exist where it can put a screen like right in front of your face and the whole time, like you see in films and stuff? Like, how can you not get an implant in your head that makes you see a screen wherever you look? So you turn away and it's no there anymore. It's just slightly inconvenient, innit? Slightly inconvenient.
The paradox of Interactive having to get any time for slightly inconvenient. They like to go just for the out and out baffling. These are the play styles that you can play in Victoria 3. Victoria 3 is like it's like a socio-political strategy game, innit? Sorry for no sounding more excited about that. It's just I have a real torture. That's Glasgow there. Look at that, Glasgow. Nothing much was happening there, just a bunch of houses in a field. I've got a tortured relationship with Paradox Interactive games. I love these wee bits of history and information and the beautiful art. I love those things about this game, but I have a tortured relationship, as I was saying, with Paradox Interactive games, as I've discussed before on Consolevania. I look at them from afar and I think, I wish I was into their games. I just wish I had the time. But you're looking at thousands. It looks like a game that I would have played when I was like early 20s, when I was sinking thousands of hours into. Look at this beautiful rainforest. Endless rainforest. Look at these wee dick. Oh fuck off. Oh fuck. Leave it, you wee fucking bampots. Anyway, this game is, the reason why they're chopping the trees down is because they're expanding, obviously, because that's what humans do. Look at the, I don't know if anybody else has noticed this. Check the other reviews of this game and see if anybody else has noticed this. But how big is this? How big is this fucking table? I'm trying to picture it and I can't. It's too big a table. In Victoria 3, you're playing from 1836 to 1936. That's the time frame there. Let's have a look at Glasgow. Years, 60 odd years later. Nothing's happened. 60 odd years later, nothing's happened. Literally, I don't even think there's an extra house. Oh, a bunch of tramps. It's happening in Edinburgh. Edinburgh's like quadrupled in size. Embarrassing. Loving the beautiful art and the beautiful music and the informative nature of the game as well. What I'm not loving so much is the similarity I see with Hearts of Iron that I've attempted to play as well, and that's that at times I just find it completely impenetrable. You'd think Warfare would... They're going to get squashed then. You'd think Warfare would be something to look forward to in a game like this, but in fact, Warfare's probably where the game is least interesting and most perplexing. It's the most clunky area of the game I found. Listen to me talking as if I'm some kind of bloody expert. Look at that. Most of my footage is in observer mode because I'm so cripplingly intimidated by this game that I'm just like, I'll watch the computer play it first because the computer knows better than me, didn't it? I've only got a human brain. It did set me off thinking things that I had never considered before playing, because I have played games like these many times over the years, and it's just interesting to look now that the drivers, and I mean it is historical, but the drivers are economic growth, prosperity, things like GDP, they're the drivers. That's not to say that there aren't innovations that improve your culture, because it is interesting in Victoria, interesting again in Victoria 3 to see how power bases are formed in the countries, because they change with the times. As economies and countries change, the power bases shift obviously, and those power bases have at times completely different political leanings and political motivations. It's a nice feature in the game that you don't just measure the countries by its economic wealth, you can have a look at what the citizens' standards of living are like, so you can gauge the success of your country that way as well. I think this is me looking for somewhere to hide, and it is hide for all the stats that are in the game. Beautiful, pretty water. Victoria 3 is an incredibly interesting and a staggering accomplishment, and it's tantalising in a way that to think what's going to be possible in just a few more years in this area of gaming. I just wish a lot of the gameplay was more welcoming. If you're the type of person who manages to get hooked by this game and sinks thousands of hours into it, I really envy you. I envy you. Because sometimes when I was playing it, pop-ups wouldn't leave me alone, and I couldn't figure out how to get rid of them properly, so I had to shut the entire game down because it just wouldn't keep popping up. Didn't make me feel intelligent. The experience just didn't make me feel very intelligent.
Got a sec?
Have you got a sec for me to tell you about the DioField Chronicle? Now, I'm calling it the DioField Chronicle because I was calling it the DioField Chronicle. And then I was doing a live show. I was doing one of my Video Game Empty live shows this month. And I heard a guy going, "What is that? Is that the DioField Chronicle?" And then I was like, maybe I'm saying this wrong, maybe I've
Well done.
got the name wrong, and then I did a bit of checking into it, and it turns out it is indeed called the DioField Chronicle. So it just goes to show you, I think, in truth, that I get a lot of names wrong of video games. Like, I think over the years, it's something I need to think about. It's something I want to think about, actually, in more detail. How many games from the history of video gaming have I been saying wrong and still say wrong? There's probably some examples, but I can't really think of them just now. I mean, Square Enix is one, right? Because I used to say Square Enix, and most of the time I do still say Square Enix, but I think it's Square Enix. Anyway, look, I want to tell you about this game. Now, this is an interesting one. It's been an amazing year for anybody who likes the Japanese RPG, a special year. It's like a golden age just now of the Japanese RPG. Now, what sets the DioField Chronicle apart is that it has a combat system that's almost like a real-time combat system. It's no turn-based, it's real-time. It plays it almost like a wee bit like an XCOM or something like that. One of the modern XCOM games. And it is that battle system that carries you through this whole game, because I'll tell you right up front, this is a game that I really enjoyed, really loved playing it. But I loved it so much that something became clear, that it has a glaring issue within the game. It's almost a victim of its own success. Now, what does that mean? Well, in the DioField Chronicle, you have a load of story missions, right? So you have your story that plays out in the battles that you need to fight to advance the story. But then there's also a lot of little side missions as well, right? Standard in these kind of games. Lots of wee side missions. And normally I wouldn't do every side mission in a game. But when I was playing the DioField Chronicle, I was doing every side mission. The reason why I was doing every side mission was because the combat is so fucking fantastic to play, right? It's so fun that I was like, I'll fight as many fights as you want me to fight, because I'm just enjoying doing this. And that's really something positive about the game. I think that's quite a victory, because in a lot of RPGs, in a lot of games of this type, the combat system isn't always great. Sometimes, in fact, you find yourself going, oh god, I can't be bothered with another fight, surely not another fight. But with this, so much fun, and I'll explain why it's so much fun in a minute, that you just want to do every battle. And the problem there is, if you do every battle, you are going to out-level the enemy quite quickly. To such an extent that when it came to the last quarter of the game, I was smashing my way through it. I was smashing people. No, I didn't completely hate that, because you're supposed to be this badass mercenary unit that people are terrified of. So I wasn't too bothered by the fact we were so strong and so powerful. And again, it's fun to smash through the enemies with all your powers. But again, it was just a bit of an issue. It was just the challenge started to lower, and that was purely because I was fighting every single battle. Now, what I would say to any of you out there, if you're thinking of picking up this game, be wary going in. Understand going in that if you take every mission, fight every battle, you're going to end up that the last part of the game is going to be too easy for you, probably. And it's going to actually make you doubt the quality of the game. That's what's going to happen. But on the upside, you really should play this game to enjoy what the combat offers. And it's a really simple game as well. It's really simple because there's only 4 types of units in it. There's only 4 types of units in it, but you can adapt these units, different powers, different abilities, and then you can come up with your own kind of combos that work for you. And it's utilising the combos and the attacks that make the game so much fun. If you look at this here, right, the battles all take place in an area that looks almost like a board game, like a diorama. Starting to doubt myself here. Is it diorama or diorama. I've been saying diorama all the time. It is diorama, right? But then it's DioField Chronicle. Anyway, but as you can see, it's like you're moving all your units at once, you're giving them orders, you're giving them commands. It works really well with the gamepad. It's the type of game you would think it would work better with a mouse, and I know it is out in PC, so maybe it does work better with a mouse, but I played it on Switch. This is Switch, and it works really well with the controller. And you are working through each mission, giving out orders, positioning your units, using abilities to move enemies into the area of other abilities, and it's just such a fun game. It's just such a compelling combat system. Here's an example. Right, now here are my guys taking on a whole load of baddies here, right? Loads of baddies. But watch what I do, right? See those barrels there, right? Those barrels are about to explode. And I use my charge to move all the enemies into the radius of that explosion, and kaboom. And you're doing things like that all the time in this game. Coming up with clever attacks, and then using your abilities to kind of manipulate the battlefield to make it pay off for you. It's brilliant. It's really brilliant. But again, that caveat, it's kind of too good for its own good, because you want to fight loads of battles, even though there isn't a huge amount of enemy variety in it, even though lots of the missions are really similar to other ones. There's no huge amount of variety in the type of mission either. Regardless of all that, it's just so much fun to play that I ended up completely rinsing it and getting too strong, and it made the end of the game a stroll. Despite all that, I highly recommend it. And even the story, I've seen some people complaining about the story. It has this really kind of dry... It's you know, it reminds me of Triangle Strategy a wee bit, even though the story in Triangle Strategy is amazing. I think far better than this. But Triangle Strategy get the same kind of criticism, but I love that kind of dry storyline. This is about knights and mercenaries, and it's dry and it's political, and it has a really good ending as well. It has a really surprising and strong ending. And I just hope that it did well enough that we get a sequel, because I really think you should check it out. The DioField Chronicle. And I got the big special edition that comes with a board game, so maybe next time round I'll tell you about how the board game is. Peace out.
Trying to put up this drying rack thing here, remember them? Got a new one to try and save space. But this is like middle-aged Halloween. Because I don't know what I'm drilling into up here. This is real white knuckle danger. Drilling into a ceiling and you don't know where the wiring and stuff is. It's absolutely Baltic this lot, by the way, so it is. Also, I don't have any drill bits, so I've had to improvise.
This noir looking thing is Hell is Others. I really like that title because I agree with that sentiment that hell is others. Once you get into the gameplay aspect of Hell is Others, it's like a, let's just state the obvious and say Eldritch Hotline Miami. It's no as guns blazing as Hotline Miami. You do need to be a good degree more cautious when you're playing Hell is Others, because things are bloody hard. Even the easy things are bloody hard. It's PvPvE, it's atmospheric, obviously. As I say, it's pretty bloody tricky. You need to do missions to unlock stuff. It's good. Trying to stick this month to games that will just let you jump out of windies. This is Super People. Which is a PUBG Fortnite type looking thing, and to be perfectly honest with you, I've got absolutely no idea why I've included it in this list other than that I was playing it this month. It basically started with me going on Steam looking for stuff and seeing this and going, is that actually the name of this, Super People? That's what the name of the game's like. Alright, let's see what that's like. And it's just turned out to be one of these free-to-play shooting games that are crafty about how to get money out of the people that are playing the game. I don't want to get judgmental about this, but I'm just thinking about the variety of the games that I've covered just on this one episode. Why would you spend your time playing a game like this? Why would you spend... It's just... You're just pointing at each other. You're not shooting each other, you're just pointing at each other. In the top 3 of the 3 favourite things that I've played this month is Rytmos, which isn't the greatest of names, but it's a musical puzzle game where you're slowly reforming the universe. You're reforming these planets by solving the puzzles that comprise the planets. It's just a demo, it's released next year, but it's a very, very soothing experience. Puzzles are actually a little bit tricky here and there. You can get tiny sneak peeks of the... I love this as well, sneak peeks of the planets that will be in the full game. I love how it gives you like wee bits of info about the instruments and stuff, like wee cultural bits of information. It's nice. I'm normally not that real into information, so they've done well to get me interested. It's the music in it, and it puts you in a better place. You see, as you're solving each side of the planet, that side contributes a new rhythm to the music. It's really nice. It's really, really soothing and nice. What about to get some more info here about this instrument? I think I know what it is anyway though. It's a train dingle. A train dingle? A marimba. That's what I meant actually, a marimba. This is a fun one. It's the last hero of Nostalgaia and it's got jokes, this game. Look at the customization screen. Nothing's doing anything. Nothing's doing anything. And then the voiceover guy kicks in and he's got jokes as well. So there's a load of jokes in it. I mean, there's loads. I mean, get ready for them. There's loads here. Look, they're still happening. He's still talking to us about all the jokes that he's wanting to tell us. I like the way this loads in this. The way it gets more and more textured. More and more and more. And the gameplay in this game is another joke because it's like a Dark Souls clone. That's probably incorrect language from me, but the joke is that it's heavily inspired by Dark Souls. You're basically playing a Dark Souls like game. You've got a narrator guy that hates you, and in the game what's happening is that the graphics are getting worse, so you need to defeat bosses to restore the graphics back to their splendour. One thing that I really like in this game is that it hides in the weapon descriptions, which I'm not showing you at any point because I'm an idiot. In the weapon descriptions it hides clues and lore. It's just a really nice touch that I've never seen before, but combat wise it's passable, I would say. For the duration of the demo the positives outweigh the negatives, but I'm not sure how the full game would go. Have to wait and see about that. Listen, I know that this is Knuckle Sandwich, and I know so that's not my name. I'm Ryan. Sorry, the game is Knuckle Sandwich, and I know that Bayonetta 3 is out. I'm playing it. I'm playing it on Switch. The screen's tiny. I can't see what I'm doing sometimes because I'm too old. Look at the way these ducks are walking. Look at the way these ducks are walking behind their mummy. Listen to that music. Game of the year. What I'm saying is I know that Bayonetta 3 is out and I know that a lot of people out there are playing Bayonetta 3 and they're probably expecting us to be talking about stuff like that, but this I think was, for all the games, and I played a lot of games this month, for all the games that I played this month I think this was my favourite thing. Knuckle Sandwich was my favourite experience. Not just because of that purple leotard and that daft stupid haircut and that stupid wee mouth he's got. No, it's my favourite because it actually did a good few times actually make me laugh, and it reminds me of things like obviously Parodius and Earthbound and definitely Undertale with the way it introduces the wee mini games when you're having fights with folk. Definitely a big Undertale influence. But it's got the music nailed and it's got a spectacular use of colour. Spectacular obviously in a very different way from Saturnalia's use of colour, but still spectacular nonetheless. But it just makes a really big impression when a game is genuinely funny, like genuinely funny. It's things that sometimes money can't buy. Big companies can't do funny things. Well, they do some funny things, I suppose. If you like dark humour, the things that they do are quite funny, like to their employees and stuff. That's quite funny if you like dark humour. Look at this game, it's weird. Look how weird this game is. Do you want to play this? You should want to play it. Look at it. I'm just going to leave while you look at this.
Here's a top 5 of my scariest video game adverts of all time.
Save us! God そして DNA が狂い出す
I am Eve.
The Cinematic RPG
Parasite Eve. コンビニでデジキューブ
That's right, that was Parasite Eve. I don't think the game was that good, was it, actually? Anyway, here's number 4. House of the Dead. Quite scary zombies in that advert. That was why it's my number 4. Here's my number 3.
はい、おはよう。
先生やった私の罠で倒してあげるカゲロン2快感テクモ
Kagero 2, one of my favourite games of all time, and there's nothing scarier than being humiliated by traps in front of a woman.
Biohazard 2.
プレイステーション
Proper zombies, bit of money spent on it. Romero, of course. Can't beat it, can you? But what's my number 1?
佐々木くんえかかった来て来てかかった
なんだこれ
かかった
彼女がハマってるハメるゲームカゲロウ
チーズ暮らし生き生きプレイステーション
Love the Kagero games, man. And you just don't want a pan to get dropped on your head. Happy Halloween.